Sir, thank you so much for taking time out and speaking with us. It was a very enlightening conversation, and we touched a lot on the many issues that are being faced by banks in India. One of them, of course, is the crucial ownership issue as far as public sector banks are concerned. You share your views as to how you think some of the core issues that are plaguing public sector banks right now can perhaps be cured.
I mean, the very broad-brushed answer would be that you've got to work on the whole governance and ownership question, but I think it's difficult to say that this can happen right away. It's obviously not even a fair ask because the government banks play a very important role today, right? And secondly, they also have public shareholding. So it's not easy to just say that they can be, let's say, privatized overnight. I think we're doing the right thing. We've got to get this IBC once it's stabilized, which I think it will by November, December. You get a better handle on what the NPAs are. Try to put a safety net under that, whether it's through a bad bank or it's through, much more fast-track mechanism of solving the stress assets. I think then one can think in a couple of years of what to do with the bank ownership. I think ultimately it goes back to the accountability, the governance in the banks, and ultimately, PSU banks are 70% of the assets. So, you just can't wish a solution, and I don't think we can wish away the problem we are in. So we need to really tackle it in a very concerted way. And I think the time is now because the IBC is a great reform. It's happening. It'll stabilize. I'm absolutely sure. Then you take the next step and the one after that. And if anybody is, capable of doing these kind of concerted action, I think this government has shown the will to do some interesting reforms and pretty dramatic ones. So I think they could think about it. I mean, that's all I can say.
I hear what you're trying to say, sir. Just to take the point forward, is ownership the core issue here? Is it more about accountability, more about management? Because many of the issues are being faced by private sector banks as well.
Yeah,
we have ICICI Bank, Axis Bank in focus as I speak about this.
No, I think it all starts ultimately what architecture you need. I think we just have a lot of banks in general. Now, of course, one way of saying is let's have more banks because that will, in a way, reduce the public sector dependence, which I'm not really a buyer of that because I think you have a lot of banks. Look, I think that's a complex question. I don't have a ready-made answer for that. But I think ownership does matter and then accountability matters.
Sir, coming specifically to KKR, you did have a special situations fund where there were stressed assets in the country that you were evaluating. Any headway on that?
Yeah, I mean, look, we are always looking at deals, and I think we are quite enthusiastic right now, given as I said, the IBC process started. I think we see the March 31 assets that are going to be classified, and I think what we are trying to do is to work with the banks in a very proactive way and see if we can have a fair clearing price for these assets and try to solve them outside the NCLT if we could. But otherwise, I think we are quite enthused about the stress asset opportunity, but in a positive way. I think we can take some of the assets which have hit a bad patch, not because of bad promoters, but because of either a bad capital structure, elongated working capital, some mishaps with policies, industry downturn. I think those can be repaired. So our focus is to repair, to look at assets which we can make a kind of a fair price to the banks, and then try to resolve them and repair them. I don't think we're looking for highly distressed assets. That's a little bit beyond us to be sitting in India and trying to tackle distressed assets. So we'll see how it goes.
Any specific sectors?
All of them. I think power is interesting, so we're going to look at power. Okay, I've got to go.
My last question, sir. KKR-backed Radiant has been aggressively involved in the bidding for Fortis Healthcare. Speak a bit about the minority shareholders.
I'm not going to comment on any deal. Okay, so all right, thank you.
Anyway, sir, thank you so much for your time. Very grateful, sir. Thank you.